All right, Dummies for Sports. Here we go, guys. We are last week of the regular season. A lot of people are upset about this one because it's the last week of Red Zone. And, of course, nobody likes commercials. So this is the last week that you don't get commercials. So we're going to go through all the biggest matchups.
Well, there are commercials in Red Zone now, though.
Right, yeah, but it's different, on the side while you're still watching the game. So it's essentially 7 hours straight. But we're going to go through all the key matchups. Of course, there are the three big ones, and then there are other ones that have implications in terms of seeding. So we'll go through all of that coming up.
I think you might notice a little bit of a different voice right now leading you off. That is because Yehuda, the original guest star.
You're not a guest. You're one of us. We have to be switching our whole name because of you.
No, don't give away our secret.
You knew, the Ravens need one touchdown. The Broncos might score one more field goal. So if you get one more touchdown, and you win 10-9, call it a day. You can win 10-9.
I'm going to go with the Commanders as well, just because it's too much of a question mark over there on the center for the...
I can't believe you saw that right now. That's asinine. You're crazy.
He's got the full package.
No way. I don't care. No way. I can't even. It's hard to even look at you right now when you say something like that. That's crazy. Okay. And guess what? In basketball, you use a basketball. In football, you use a football.
All right. So we're here, Dummies for Sports. Guys, how are we feeling about this Week 18 slate of games? Do we like it? Do we not like it? What's happening, Yehuda?
I have new life. Okay, we went into this weekend last week expecting the Steelers to take care of business, and we thought Ravens will probably beat the Packers. Or at least I thought they could lose the Packers, but probably will take care of business. Derrick Henry handled business, and then I'm like, I cannot believe I have to be a Browns fan for a whole day. And then it happened, and Myles Garrett didn't even get a sack, but the Steelers are playing so scared of giving up the Myles Garrett sack record that now we have a winner take all Week 18. He came through, kind of, sort of. He made one pass that was a touchdown. Just
you know
enough.
What I said?
And,
I said Harold Fenn won the game and didn't even play 80% of it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he got hurt the first and second quarter. And
that's all we needed. That's all we needed.
And now got a chance. We just got a chance. That's all I was saying. I was begging, just give us a chance. Give us a chance. And now they got it.
This is the first Ravens Steelers winner takes all game in Week 18, and they played many games in Week 18 against each other over the past bunch of years. So this is a very interesting situation. Also, across the board, but not just talking about the Ravens. Obviously, the Ravens are a huge factor, but across the board, there are a bunch of seeding games and a bunch of other games that have a huge impact, including the funniest game of them all, which obviously we'll get to. But the Falcons Saints game has, just from the most. It's silly. It's almost silly that, and the Panthers are going to win Saturday. We're going to talk about it, but the Panthers are going to win Saturday night. And the Bucs are going to win Saturday night, and then the Falcons are just going to do it, and it's going to be crazy. You're on the entire Carolina rooting for their division rival, just like the Ravens did last week.
Yep.
I think it's going to be sick, but we'll definitely get more into it, obviously. But just a wild scene. I mean, Baltimore went from we were dead in the waters, and here we are, we're live. Take care of business. I mean, again, we'll get into it, but Derrick Henry has to touch the ball more than 50 times.
Yeah, it really felt like resurrection of the dead. It felt like the Ravens had a new season only, right? Because
perfect for the week of Christmas. I know it's not the week of resurrection.
That's by Easter. That's by Easter.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, but we'll take early Easter now.
It was kind of like we were all of us last week were like, the Ravens are probably going to lose. Even if they win, who cares? Browns are. So it was like, nobody really expected this to happen. Although in the back of our minds, we were like, well, Steelers haven't won in Cleveland in 10 years. So maybe.
It's been 2016. It's been since 2016, I think. 10 years exactly, right? Since the Steelers have won a game. And that was with Big Ben. 2021. they beat the Steelers.
They're 1-6-1 in the last 8
2021
games
with
in Cleveland.
Big Ben. Yeah. Big
1-6-1.
Ben. And that one win was with Big Ben in 2021.
Remember, I'm sure you guys remember 2 years ago they lost to DTR. Very similar game to this one. It was like 10-7 or 13-7. The final score again.
It makes. I mean, the Ravens usually are the team that loses to Cleveland or even in Baltimore. Yeah, not really in Baltimore, but we're the ones who usually, I feel like, lose a lot to Cleveland. And it's like the only wins Cleveland
really
gets
like Harbaugh.
Their divisions.
It's like Harbaugh and Tomlin are the same coach in that Tomlin has consistency every year, 9-8 Super Bowl, and then first round exit. And Harbaugh every year, it's just like you can't get over the hump, and there's some way that he's gonna find a way to like play himself out of the game. Yeah, and then somehow they just still keep coming back, and they're just still coaching.
Because when you lose in the playoffs in a heartbreaker, like I don't know if we lose that. I mean, we'll talk more. But if you lose a heartbreaker this week, I don't know that saves the job. But like if you win this game and then go into the playoffs and like lose a heartbreaker to the Bills or Chargers, it's like, oh yeah, let him have it again. Like that's happened last year. Like last year should have been his last year. Win it all or go home. And then obviously it didn't happen, and we lost the heartbreaker, and then Harp's like, they're like, oh, we feel so bad. He almost had it, like he almost had it. It's like, yeah, but he didn't.
Yeah, I think the Harbaugh.
If they don't even make playoffs this year, they'll probably get.
The Harbaugh-Tomlin dynamic is very interesting. Let's discuss. Let's bake that into the Ravens-Steelers preview because there'll definitely be people that are coming for that. So let's start with the most confusing division of all time. That is the NFC South, and it's been confusing for a long time, right? Like you had a couple years in there where Brady took it over, but other than that, you never know what to get. The Falcons are this weird. Like remember back with Arthur Smith, it's like you have Kyle Pitts and Drake London and Bijan Robinson, and you have playmakers, and yet you're not utilizing any of them, and kind of you're seeing the same thing with Arthur Smith in Pittsburgh now. Like you have DK, and you only take shots down the field in like 3 games this season. And other than that, you're not targeting him, which is weird. So kind of a theme there, but. The first, I think it's so fitting that the NFC South is going to end in the most ridiculous way possible. So let's go to Saturday. It's, of course, 4:30 p.m. And by the way, guys, just to preface this, we discussed this last week. We said Bucs-Panthers could likely be the 4:30 game because it's not really a highly coveted win-or-go-home game, even if it does turn out to be win-or-go-home game, but it's still win-or-go-home. So you want to put that in a primetime slot. We saw the potential of Seahawks-Niners. You said if Ravens-Steelers doesn't happen, that'll probably be Sunday night, which would have happened. Ravens-Steelers, we knew if that happened, that would be Sunday night. So this is kind of how we mapped things out. No one's really surprised about this. And also, as we were discussing, off air last week, that I thought right when the Sunday schedule was about to come out, I said they'll put Bucs-Panthers Saturday at 4:30 regardless of what happens in the Falcons game because this is the 4:30 slot on Saturday is a game that's meaningful but not necessarily win or go home. It could be affected by other games, but it's not necessarily affected by other games. Just like last year, remember they put Ravens-Browns Saturday at this time slot, which was a very similar thing. Like the Ravens could already clinch the division by winning, but if they lose, then the Steelers played the next game against the Bengals. It wasn't an overly meaningful game, but it meant something. So it's the same concept here. But I think Bucs-Panthers 4:30, a potential win-or-go-home game, is a great game for the 4:30 slot. They usually don't get this high magnitude. So, Meisty, what are we thinking about Bucs-Panthers on Saturday afternoon?
Yeah, I mean, again, you already know next week in the wild card round, it's going to be Bucs-Panthers in the same time slot in a week from now. So that's guaranteed. No, it is. Whichever team wins, they're going to play next week at home.
Oh, yeah.
And going to play at the 4:30 slot on Saturday. It's a lock. It is the biggest lock of the century. So I do think this game makes no sense. Neither team likes to win. Panthers probably are going to win just to keep the streak of win-loss going. But the Panthers lose to the worst teams in the NFL. They beat the good teams in the NFL. I don't really know if you call Packers good, but I mean they beat other good teams also.
They were good at that time, yeah.
Yeah, no, they're good and then they're bad and then they're good. I mean, it makes no sense. The Bucs have probably the best. I'm trying to think. I don't know, but like the best wide receiver room, almost. Like they have to be up there with the best. Like they have names. And they got McMillan back, and they have names, and yet like Baker is. I love Baker, but when Baker's back is against the wall, he's the best in the league. And then when it's like, oh, Baker's good, and then all of a sudden he's like, right, I stink. It makes no sense. He makes no sense to me, but I don't know if it's him, the O-line, if it's the defense. The team is just not connecting. They're probably going to get a new head coach next year also. Maybe they take a hard start. Tomlin, I don't know what their plan is, but We'll see what everyone does, and yeah, I really have no clue who's going to win this game. I think it might be like the worst game of the year, where like no team moves the ball down the field, but it's not because of good defense. It's just who sucks more than the other team. That's the team that's going to like just make the Saints Falcons game. Winner of that game gets the division. All right, like I want to see Tyler. You need Tyler Shock in the champion in the playoffs. Dude, that guy is balling. That guy knows how to ball. They have a quarterback down in New Orleans. He's going to be their future. He's a baller. Chris Olave is not going to the hospital every week. I mean, just give Tyler Shock the division.
Yeah. Some people saying they want to see big Kirko chains in the playoffs too. But yeah, it's very funny that the Falcons start playing very well when they're already eliminated. The Saints are playing well. They're already eliminated. And both of those teams probably are playing better than the Panthers and Bucs. But to me, what it looks like the Bucs are playing like a team that I don't want to say they gave up on their head coach, but like they want a new coach. And like they lost that game to the Falcons on Thursday Night Football, and then Todd Bowles called him out in his expletive-laden tirade, where he's like, you gotta freaking care enough. It's more than job. You gotta freaking want it more than, than we appear to be doing. And I think the players are just not interested in playing for him anymore. And I really wish Tampa would win this so we could have the silly ending with everything coming down to the Falcons Saints. And how awkward would it be if like Carolina loses in a close game to a division rival so they're deflated, and then the Falcons win, and so then the Panthers are all sitting in their locker room, and then they have to take out the hat and T-shirts, be like, "Oh yay, we just won the division, even though we didn't do it. It wasn't our part," and they would be 8-9 as well. So
that's what the Patriots did this past year.
There's nothing more NFC South. There's nothing more NFC South.
The Patriots did that this year. They lost that week, and the Bills, and they pulled up the hats, and they were able to.
Yeah, but they won 11 games before that.
No.
So.
Exactly. Yeah. They earned it.
Right.
But I don't know. I think Tampa should win this game. Yeah, Tampa should win this game. But the weighted DVOA is the DVOA scale that uses like more recent games and how they're playing right now, measures like drops off the older games, and they're playing worse. They're 24th, and the Panthers are 22nd in weighted DVOA. So like they're both playing really below average football right now, and like overall they both have bottom 10, 15, 12 offenses. Like it's just not good, and the defenses are below average. This team, whoever wins, is going to get absolutely smoked in the wild card round by the Rams, Seahawks, or Niners. And I think, I would probably pick the Panthers, but like
you don't know about playoff Baker.
No, that would be awesome, right? Like, yeah, playoff Baker. If we could see playoff Baker, that'd be amazing. But like, I legit think the Bucs are don't want to play for bowls anymore, and they just, if they lose now, then they get it out of the way, and I think he probably would lose his job if they collapse this hard. Remember the Colts were 7-1, 8-2, and the Bucs were 5-1, and they were in top seed in the NFC. The good old days back in October. Colts, Bucs, Super Bowl bound.
Feels like an eternity ago, doesn't it?
Yeah, literally, yeah. So I don't know. I just think, yeah, like Micey said, they have so much talent in the wide receiver room. They got Bucky Irving. They got solid running back game. They got okay tight end. Baker should be good, but I think maybe his shoulders hurt worse than we thought from that Rams game. And their defense just doesn't want to show up. And maybe Bryce Young completes a pass more than 5 yards downfield this week. Panthers should be able to come away with the victory.
Yeah, remember in the last game between the two, that was actually Bryce Young's highest graded game according to PFF, 91.4. Actually, Bryce Young had a very good stretch between weeks 13 and 16. I think he missed one in the middle, but he played against the Rams, Saints, and Bucs, and he had 8 big-time throws, no turnover-worthy plays. If you like traditional stats, he had 6 touchdowns, no interceptions, and he had yards per attempt around 8. His adjusted completion percentage around 80. Like, the numbers are really good in that 3-game stretch. Then came last week, and he didn't complete a single pass of more than 5 air yards. That is ridiculous. 1.6 average depth of target, 54 yards in total. I think it was even less net yards once you take away the sacks. So it was just an unbelievable, horrible performance for Bryce Young. That's what we've been getting from Bryce Young all year. Like, you had this 3-game stretch where you're like, man, look, number 1 overall pick. Here we go. This is why you're picked where you are, and you're finally hitting your upside. And we've had stretches like that throughout the season. He had a great game against Dallas early in the season, a great game against Atlanta in Week 11. But then last week, it's like, what happened now? It's the Seahawks defense that's causing trouble for all sorts of quarterbacks, obviously. But yes, and that's a factor. But which version of Bryce Young you're going to get, nobody ever knows. And remember, in the last game, the Bucs had a comeback opportunity. And then there was the miscommunication between Baker and Mike Evans. It's very interesting. I was hearing someone break down that play. It looked like Mike Evans was running a post, and Baker thought he was running a corner route. It's a little different than that. Baker, as he loves to do, as we know, we love game time Baker, last 2 minutes. He loves to improvise, loves to extend the play. And when that happens, the receivers, eventually a quarterback extends the play to a point where the receivers stop running their routes. They just run with their quarterback, right? So Baker assumed that Mike Evans was going to do that. He ran to the left. He assumed Mike Evans was going to run to the left. Instead, he ran inside and intercepted. So that's kind of how that ended. They had a chance in that last game, despite how well Bryce Young played, his best game of the season. So you got to think, listen, you look on paper, the Bucs started the season 5-1. They've lost 7 of the last 8 games. If the Bucs do not make the playoffs here, whether they win this game, whether they don't make the playoffs via a Falcons win, I mean, it's one of the biggest collapses in the last 10, 15 years, and we've had some big ones, a la Jaguars, a la Philadelphia Eagles. So it's going to be a big one. It's a big game for the Bucs to try to save their season, I think, and try to prevent them from really collapsing here down the stretch. But ultimately, guys, like you said, Meisty, come on. We know what the Panthers, since week 7, alternating wins and losses. This is the Panthers game. Whatever the line is, give it to me. Bucs favored by 3. Why are you giving the Bucs points here? I don't care. On the
Bucs
road.
minus 2.5.
You're getting playoff Baker. You're getting playoff Baker here. There's no question about it. Playoff Baker.
Which one's stronger, playoff Baker or Panthers alternating wins since week 7? I'm taking the Panthers here. I'm taking the Panthers.
I think that the Bucs are playing for more because at the end of the day, the Panthers are like, let's use the Falcons to win. And, and it's kind of like they know that in the back of their head, I forget, coach, whatever his name is from the Houston Texans coach, D'Amico Ryan. He was the one who was like, you don't think about other teams and you don't really think about anything else other than this week, not overlook anything. But I still think that, the team like the Panthers are not good, and so they do think about other teams and other situations, but we'll see what happens.
So who you got, Meister?
I would take. Oh yeah.
Me?
Gotta put the money down.
I'm going with the Bucs. That is not
Bucs. I see line Bucs minus 2.5. Would you take them to cover that, or Bucs to win straight up and Panthers cover, or what are you thinking?
I think, but I don't know. I just think the Bucs are so much better. I know that you're saying like Todd Bowles, they hate the guy, but like
I think so.
If you're a player though, like you're not guaranteed to be on the same team next year. Like Baker maybe, but Mike Evans might not return next year. Like these types of guys, they don't know what team they're going to be on next year. For them, you got to go to the playoffs. You get the bonus for going to the playoffs, whatever that bonus is.
You're making a mistake, Meisty. You're giving analysis for an NFC South game. This is not how you analyze the NFC South. It's trends. Everything's trends.
I'm the guy that's not an analyst. Here I am speaking analytically.
Talking Baker late in the season, make some nice throws, the roster, but forget about all the logic. We've known this for weeks already. Last week I said it looked like the Panthers maybe would cover. We all agreed the Panthers were going to lose by 7 or more to the Seahawks. And look, that's exactly what happened. Even when they had a chance to, we're like, we know it's predictable. We know what's going to happen. Trends. It's all about trends.
And you should use analysis. Isn't that using analysis?
That's your analysis. That's your analysis.
My analysis is that I'm not analyzing this.
No, I'm not analyzing. Yeah, analysis is there's no analysis.
Who you got, Yehuda?
I'm gonna go Panthers straight up, so they cover because everything I do agree with what Micey's saying. They don't know. They're going to be on the team, and and they're playing for their job and all that. But I just think Bowles doesn't really seem to have the locker room right now, and they're just, season's just going to end. It can be very depressing because it's like going to be in Tampa in front of their home crowd, and losing to a division rival after they blew a very once promising season when Baker was getting MVP hype at the beginning of the year. So very sad, I think, for the Bucs fans, but unfortunately we get to see Bryce Young and the Panthers get blown out in round one instead of the Bucs.
I'm kind of intrigued by Bryce Young in the playoffs, but anyway, we have to wait and see the result of this next game, which is the Saints against the Falcons. And I've heard it called the most meaningless game of all time. And I want to say something before we go. We delve into this game a little bit. I love the setup. Okay, I think the setup of Bucs Panthers potentially being for the division on Saturday. Even if it isn't, we have a game that nobody would watch otherwise. But if it pans out, we have a game with the NFC South on the line, and the two NFC South teams playing in it are the two that can't even make it. It's the funniest thing ever. I absolutely love this dynamic. It's just so typical NFC South. It's so typical. Like you have a three-way tie at 8-9, and the team that forces that has been eliminated for 5 weeks, guys. The Falcons have been eliminated for 5 weeks, and they can still affect this three-way tie. It's absolutely amazing. So, Yehuda, what do you think about the most meaningless game in NFL history?
The most meaningless game is a great way to put it. I would say the Saints are still going to end up winning this because watch the Bucs win, and then they need the Falcons to win, and the Falcons can't come through for anyone, like the Panthers would need the Falcons to come through when the stakes are at their lowest. So I'll tweet. Stakes are at their lowest when the games are at their not the opposite of peaks, valleys, then the Falcons shine the brightest. Like when they've been eliminated, they're like, I saw some stat that was like when Falcons are mathematically eliminated from postseason contention, they're like 11-4 or 12-4. Like they show up against the Rams randomly when they've already been out. They come back against the Bucs when by 2 touchdowns when they've already been eliminated. Like when the pressure is off, they just aren't coming through. And so if the Bucs end up winning, and it really forces the Falcons to have to play hard to have to win, then I think they're going to lose because that's just what they do, and they don't come through. And Shuck is a baller, so they'll. I know Saints Falcons is a fun rivalry, and the
Battle of the Poop.
Battle of the what? What did you say? Battle of the Poop?
Yeah, that's the Bucs Panthers.
That's really fun. But it's just Tyler.
The whole division. It's a division of poop.
It really is. But remember, they've had.
They're down south for a reason.
They've had a team win the division with a losing record. They were not the first. I remember the Seahawks were the first, the Marshawn Lynch and the Beastquake year. But the second team, I think, was the Panthers.
The Bucs
won the division.
The Bucs beat the Eagles. Remember the Eagles collapsed? Wasn't that year that the Bucs beat the Eagles in the first round?
They did, but even before that, in like 2014 or something,
the
Panthers won a division.
It's always this division.
Yeah, so it's always the NFC South, and it could happen again if the Panthers don't. If the Bucs win, then we are guaranteed the division winner to have a losing record. But again, I still think it's all going to be moot because I think the Panthers are going to win. But if it does end up being the most meaningless game ever, still think the Saints will win because the Falcons can't come through when there actually is stakes and pressure on them.
Yeah, that's NFC South analysis. Falcons can't come through, therefore they're going to lose. That's what I'm talking about, Leslie. That's how you have to look at this division. Sure. I mean, straight up.
Yeah.
And honestly, we're looking at the two teams that probably been playing the hottest football in the last 4 or 5 weeks in this division. Yeah. And
it's so funny. They really should be making it.
Like if Falcons Saints was truly for the division, I don't think, like, if you just took away records, if you just watched the last 5 weeks of football and you said, no, Falcons and Saints are playing for the NFC South, they'd be like, yeah, it makes sense. The Bucs suck. They haven't won a game since October, right? And it's like the Panthers, yeah, it makes sense. Got a very inconsistent team. They've got swept to the Saints. Like, Saints swept them, so 1 + 1 = 2, right? these should be the two teams playing for it. And in fact, by the way, it's very funny because if the Saints beat the Falcons, they'll all be within 1 or 2 games of each other. End of the season. The Saints started off the season with like number 1 overall pick potential. Tyler Shuck comes in, tearing it up these last 4 games, and all of a sudden, boom, But it's funny. Spencer Rattler had a little hype, remember, in the beginning of the season. People were hyping him up a little bit. Oh, look at this guy. He's tough. He's like a Baker Jr., putting his shoulder down and making some big runs. And all of a sudden, Tyler Shuck him, and he's like, this guy can throw the ball down the field. This guy's pretty good. And now we're looking at a situation where the Saints probably wouldn't have drafted a quarterback high anyway. So it's good. I don't think this. I think. You have the Saints came into the season. It feels like everyone said they have the poorest roster in football, and this team's going to end at the bottom of the league. And they've really been feisty these last. Speaking of feisty, they've been feisty these last few weeks.
I'm here.
So
I'm here. Don't worry, I'm here.
So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting.
I agree. They had Titans level vibes to them, badness
without the potential of the number 1 overall pick hitting his upside. Also,
yeah, and they just played last week, and the Saints look better. You could see the Saints got some guys, like players.
That's true, but head to head, that's right. So the Falcons here are favored by 3.5, and I listen. It's funny. I listened to this podcast. Sam Monson and Pelzolo. Sam Monson says I root because they don't have any rooting interests they don't root for any particular team. So he always says I root for the funniest thing to happen, right? And I love that. Yeah. The funniest thing to happen is obviously for the Bucs to win on Saturday and the Falcons to win on Sunday. And then the Panthers to somehow make, like you said, Yehuda, right? For them to should we celebrate? Should we not? I don't know. Let's do it. So that's the funniest thing to happen. But ultimately, I agree with you. I think Tyler Shuck's playing at a high level. I could see the Bucs winning that game and then, the Saints winning this game. So, yeah, Falcons are always going to be a letdown. Give me the Saints to cover 3.5 for sure. For sure going to get there. It's at least if the Falcons win, they're not going to win by more than 3, right?
Yep.
Last second field goal. So, I don't know. Meisty, what do you think? Falcons 3.5.
Yeah, Tyler Shuck. Give me Tyler Shuck. Unfortunately, I think the Bucs win, and then Tyler Shuck gets it done, and the Bucs, get to do a celebration, and we get Baker going up against his old team, his savior. We get his savior, the Rams, the team that saved him. He's now, I think, even going to go there. And I think even funnier, talking about funny things, for funny things, Rocky, is after all the garbage that the Bucs have been through this year, to have LA come to them, beat them, go to the some other team and obviously get crushed by the 49ers or the Bears or one of those other teams. I think that's an even funnier classic Baker situation, and everyone, Todd Bowles keeps his job and John Harbaugh keeps his, and somehow Mike Tomlin keeps his, and all these losers keep their jobs.
That is the funniest thing to happen. You're right.
Well, I think going into our next game, Rocky, you're going to mention that Rams would have to have a lot of specific things happen for them to be the 5 seed.
Yeah. So then let's go through that scenario. You have 3.5 Falcons. Who you go? Oh, you said you're going with the Falcons letdown. All right, yeah. Remember, you said the Falcons, and I like your analysis. Yeah. Yes. Now let's actually get some analysis because I think it's required for this next game. So we have a huge game, and of course, guys, remember I was all excited about this. Yehuda, you remembered. I was just the last 3 weeks. I've been what's the word? I've been not actualizing this. I've been bringing manifesting that. I've been manifesting this into reality. That's exactly what I've been doing. I'm like, I just want this, guys. Let this happen in Week 18 that the Seahawks and Niners play for the bye, and it's happening. I mean, we got honestly, guys, to get 3, the NFL started the Saturday slate, I think 4 or 5 years ago, and to get 3 games that are all very meaningful in their own right is better than we've gotten since this thing has started. Most of the time, the Saturday night game, one time they had win or go home Colts Texans Saturday night. Other than that, most of the time the Saturday night game is kind of affected by something else or it's just for seeding. But we have 3 games that in their own right have their own significance. So I really like the slate this week. It worked out very well. And this is, of course, just a juggernaut of a matchup, guys. Seahawks-Niners. I mean, the two teams, the Niners have no defense all season. Somehow they find a way to be one win away from skipping the first round. And the Seahawks have been hot all season. Of course, their offense has kind of gone away at certain spurts of the season. But Yehuda, how are we feeling about this matchup over here?
Yeah, it's the old Sammy Darnold question, and it's so amazing that he in the exact same position as last year. I love this. it's like you want to talk about redemption, like how amazing of a story this could be. He was on a team last year fighting for the 1 seed. All you have to do is win the last game of the season, fighting for the 1 seed and the bye. And if you lose, then you drop to the 5 seed. And that's exactly the situation that he's in again, except on a new team with, I would say, a slightly better defense. Vikings defense was very good last year, but I think that the Seahawks defense is even better this year. And like there are still question marks around him. Like he in the first game for Seahawks Rams when they played this year, in what was top 2 teams by DVOA and two of the top 10 to 12 teams that they've tracked ever in DVOA. So like very, very good teams. In the one game, the first game that they lost, the Seahawks lost to the Rams. They lost by a field goal, and Sam Darnold threw 4 interceptions. He was part of the reason why they weren't able to win that game. And then the second game, again, they were losing and they were struggling again to the Rams. And then all of a sudden they went on a miracle comeback. And Sam Darnold was a big part of that, but they needed a little luck with the Zach Ertz pass, 2-point conversion play, and a punt return for a touchdown. So the I think the narrative's still there that the Seahawks are potentially held back by their quarterback. And like he and JSN have had an amazing connection this year. And at times, Sam Darnold and the offense has been incredible, leading to JSN having potential first-team All-Pro season, an amazing year for fantasy and everything, help people win their fantasy championships. But there's always that time, like how Jared Goff goes Jared Goof sometimes, and we'll just throw his 3 or 4 picks. Sam Darnold can go back to seeing go Sam, and like I think it's just amazing because like the Niners have an incredible offense right now, number 2 in DVOA, and just like Brock Purdy on fire against the number 1 defense in the league by DVOA versus a slightly above average offense for the Seahawks versus a terrible, albeit very injured defense for the Niners. So it's like, does Sam Darnold drag you down enough? Like, does he have a game like last year against the Lions where he just struggles a bunch and throws a bunch of interceptions? They just blitz the heck out of him. And then, what did you say, Micey?
Yeah, he's gonna poop the bed.
Yeah, does he poop the bed? Or does he play just like even average football? If he's like an average game manager, I think they can win this because their defense is so good. And I know the Niners offense is so good, so it's unstoppable force versus immovable object. Just incredible, amazing matchup. Mike McDonald calling plays against Kyle Shanahan. Like that's when they say, oh, Mahomes or Lamar versus Mahomes. The quarterbacks are never on the field. This is actually Kyle Shanahan versus Mike McDonald, and like the actual offense versus the actual strength of the teams going up against each other. Like it's so awesome. And like I'm still thinking about it right now. Like, do I believe that Darnold can be good enough while the defense will shut down the offense just enough, and then the Seahawks offense can do just enough to get the ones? I don't know. I'm still trying to think it through.
Yeah. So I mean I just completely see. I'm very mixed feelings on Sam Darnold. Sometimes I'm like, yo, he still got it, but I don't think so. I think at the end of the day, his team around him has been able to completely bring him up. I think that when they're running the ball well, they look good, and then when they can't run the ball, it all goes nowhere. I mean, I'd love to see Seattle get the 1 seed, but I'm thinking the 49ers here getting the 1 seed and Kyle Shanahan. I don't know. I think Seattle next year, though, moving forward, I mean, Seattle, they'll make noise in the playoffs, but I think next year they're going to go hard after one of those quarterbacks that are on the move. I don't know if it's a Lamar or if it's a Joe Burrow or someone else that they're
Lamar
going
in
to push
Seattle.
hard for.
That would be crazy.
I don't know about that. I think Joe Burrow in Seattle would actually look somewhat
That would also
crazy,
be crazy.
but.
That would also be crazy.
And by the way, don't tell me. I mean, I know that it's offense defense, but McDonald and Lamar obviously have a connection of some sort. Obviously being on the same team last year. But that's obviously offense defense, maybe not too much, but they definitely have somewhat a lot of neutral connections. So anything's possible. But I definitely see Seattle looking to push quarterbacks. Maybe they're looking to get Shadussi or Tua. I don't know what their plan is, but.
Maybe Deshaun Watson.
Maybe Kyler Murray or J.J. McCarthy. I don't know what their plan is.
Deshaun Watson.
Maybe they'll trade Deshaun Watson. Or maybe they'll get I don't know. I don't know who they're going to have at quarterback. Maybe they'll get Yehuda Abaddon to play quarterback for them. I don't know what their plan is. But I don't think an answer to win a Super Bowl, the answer is not Sam Darnold. Now, again, that defense is fantastic and can help them get over, keeps teams to low scoring. And, Sam Darnold doesn't throw 4 picks. But he sees ghosts a lot. And, that's you can't get hot Mike saying, I see ghosts out there. And then try to have a good career after that. So we'll see what happens. But I don't know. Not sure, to be honest with you, what's going to happen in this game. I think the 49ers win, though.
Okay, that's a great point you hit, by the way, about, because my pet peeve is always people saying, Joe Burrow is 4-0 against Patrick Mahomes. No, he's not. The Bengals are 4-0 against the Chiefs. It bugs me. They're never even on the field at the same time. But here, this is a chess match, right? You got Kyle Shanahan, the best offensive play caller in football, against a guy who's becoming one of the best defensive play callers in football, Mike Macdonald. Remember, these two teams played all the way back in Week 1, which is very rare. You have the Week 1, Week 18, and the Niners won that game. Kind of an ugly game. Brock Purdy had the 2 turnover-worthy plays, the 2 interceptions in that game. And they kind of – it was an interesting game. Darnold – it was a little bit of a dink and dunk offense it looked like the Seahawks would have early in the season. Then they came out Week 2 against the Steelers and ran the ball down their throats, and Darnold started throwing the ball well, and through 8-9 weeks he was potentially an MVP candidate. But they started off the season a little sluggish on offense against the Niners back when Fred Warner and Nick Bosa were still on the field, I believe, right? Back in Week 1 they were still there. So that's, of course, a big factor here. But, they say Fred Warner might come back at some point in the playoffs. We'll see about that. That would be, of course, a game changer for the Niners. They made a deep playoff run. But Brock Purdy, listen, guys, since Week 15 against the Titans, has been playing at an extremely high level. And we see, he's got that mobility in the pocket, kind of like the Mahomes-Burrow aspect. Not quite like Lamar Allen, but a little more extending those plays, waiting until the last second. I'm not comparing him to Mahomes. I'm saying his mobility in the pocket is a little similar to Mahomes, right? Where he moves around in the pocket, waits till the last second, has very good pocket awareness. He has very good spatial awareness. He's very good at understanding exactly how much time he has to get rid of the ball. That's kind of Mahomes' specialty. So in that sense, he's really good. He had, against the Colts 2 weeks ago, the single highest single game PFF grade of the year. You know who had number 2, by the way? Anyone want to guess?
Lamar Jackson.
Snoop Huntley.
Close with Snoop Huntley, his contemporary.
Lamar Jackson.
Malik Willis last week against the Ravens. Had the second to highest. He had like a million completions, 20 yards or more. It was insane. Insanely efficient game for him. With a broken shoulder. Not a broken, but whatever. Anyway.
Drake May against the Ravens. I guess there were a bunch of turnovers, but Drake May against the Ravens.
Well, he kind of made some 3 or 4 big throws in the second half, but the first half was a little sluggish for him. But anyway, guys, this is just I was manifesting this matchup, like you said, Yehuda gave me the right word. Manifesting this matchup. Yep. I'm fired up about this. The fact that we get this Saturday night and there's an even more compelling matchup Sunday night says that we got some good games coming up this weekend. So, yeah, I agree with who said the Niners are going to win? You said Seahawks. Meisty said Niners are going to win. Yeah, I agree with you. 1.5 Seahawks are favored on the road, and I think guys, I think a lot of the reason the Seahawks are favored is probably just because of the Niners' injuries on defense. That's probably what it comes down to. So yeah, I'm going with the Niners.
Again, real quick on this. You said since Week 13, Brock Purdy has 1 loss on the season. I think when finishing the game, he had 1 or 2, maybe 2, but Brock Purdy has been spectacular this year, and that team has been spectacular. I know, and Mac Jones came in and got the job done a couple times for them, and he looked okay. But they made that decision because Mac Jones was playing ball, and they were like, no, we want Brock Purdy in there, And there's a lot of fans, a lot of people, a lot of football people out there that are like, oh, Brock Purdy's not that good. Anyone can play in that system. And when Mac Jones was balling, they're like, oh, look, see, anyone can play in that system. But no, not really. Brock Purdy has been, ever since he started Dougieing, he has been on fire.
Well, Yehuda discussed last week how the Kyle Shanahan system is a little bit quarterback proof, and it's kind of been like that. Like we've seen guys like Jimmy Garoppolo have a lot of success and go elsewhere, and he's not even a competent backup. I mean, for heck, what was that one year where Nick Clements came in and won a couple games for them, right? Whatever his name was. Nick Mullins, that's who it was.
Fantasy legend.
Yeah, Nick Mullins came in.
Everything to George Kittle.
Well, that's when that's when the realization hit us that maybe Kyle Shanahan's just quarterback proof, and Mac Jones comes in and plays like rookie Mac Jones, which we haven't seen in a bunch of years. But of course, Micey, I agree with you in the sense that Brock Purdy's actually good, irrespective of Kyle Shanahan, which makes this Niners team even more dangerous. And preseason, I predict we'll get to our predictions next week prior to the playoffs, but I predicted the Niners to make the Super Bowl before the season, which was a little. Because they were last place last year. So it was a little bold, although they had, I think, the fourth best odds. So I had Bills over Niners before the season, which could still happen. So we'll see. But anyway, so that's why I want the Niners to win this game, because then that'll... What do you say?
I have Ravens Eagles, so I'm a little
that's probably not going to happen.
Sure,
still possible, though.
Yeah, no.
Still possible. Both things are still possible.
Hey, both are alive, not yet, but...
Crazy thing, the Seahawks, right? We think of them having an incredible defense. They are top 6 in takeaways, but as a team, they have a -4 turnover differential, and
it's disgusting.
It's just very interesting to me. And I see, and they're like the only really good team that is negative in turnover differential. Even the Falcons have, positive turn differential. It's the Eagles, the Bucs, I think the Falcons.
I'll tell you a team that doesn't have positive turnover. Rates.
The Jets.
The Jets.
The Jets have 0 interceptions this season.
Yeah,
that's right.
-19.
By the way, I heard the Jets fans say. Sorry to cut you. I'll cut you off real quick here. I heard a Jets fan say they want to have no interceptions because it's a record, can't be broken.
Exactly. At least this Jets team will, in some way, will be record-setting.
It's like being 0-16.
They're going to pick the ball off. They're going to pick the ball off on the last play of the game. It's going to be hilarious.
Yeah. That'll be amazing. And Josh Allen hasn't been practicing, so they might be using a backup. It might be Mitch Trubisky. So, yeah.
Oh, he throws picks.
Oh yeah. If they can't get one off of Mitch.
Can you imagine they break their record for most picks in the game?
all of a sudden, by the end of the game, they're 15th in the league in interceptions.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, sorry to cutting you off there in Seattle.
Well, yeah, it's just amazing to see because Seattle has taken the ball away 24 times. A very, very good defense, but they've given it away 28 times because they lead the league. They're tied with the Ravens, and now they lead. Over the Ravens. They lead the league in fumbles given away, and they have the 6th most interceptions. Sam Darnold thrown some of the most interceptions in the league. So it's the turnovers. I know it's a cliche, we win the turnover battle, you can win the game, and that's not always applicable, but it happens a lot for the Seahawks. And if they start getting loosey-goosey with the fumbles, with the football, and Sam Darnold's, seeing go Sam, I think sets up really well for the Niners. But I think he'll be able to learn from his previous experience, literally last year, and change the narrative. And not many people get a chance to be in the exact same spot. Obviously, a lot of different factors, but in the exact same position for seeding and for your legacy for your team as a player. Not many people get it literally the year after to be in the exact same place, to right those wrongs and actually come through this time. And Sam Darnold has that opportunity this year, and I think he can get it done just enough. And I don't even know if Seahawks will cover because it's -1.5 right now. Is this a game? This could be that kind of game where they win by one point. Remember that I think it was like
Thursday
2019
night.
or something. When the Thursday night game. Wait, what Thursday night game against the Rams?
We all picked the Rams to cover the 1.5, and they did. Remember, they lost by 1.
Oh, yes. so yes, right, true. But the Seahawks Niners like 6 years ago, where the Seahawks make the tackle on like the 1 yard line or something, or it's either the Niners or the Seahawks. I think it was the Niners. The Niners made tackle on the 1 yard line to win the division and win the 1 seed. Like it was Sunday Night Football for the 1 seed. Exact same situation as this. And the year that they went to the Super Bowl and then lost the Chiefs the first time, I think. But now we get Saturday Night Football, Seahawks Niners. But this time I think Seahawks will come through and be able to not shut down Brock Purdy in the offense, but do just enough, and Sam Darnold will do just enough and be able to exercise his demons from last year and get the 1 seed. Yeah.
I forgot to run through that scenario. You're correct. If the Niners win, the Rams are locked into the 6th seed. But if the Niners lose and the Rams win, then the Niners get the 5th seed, which is significant, of course, because then you get to go to Tampa/Carolina. So that 5 seed will matter. Now here's
the way, it does because a guy like Matthew Stafford possibly can use definitely a guy like Matthew Stafford can use the bye next, coming into this week, and if they lock into the seed, they're going to sit a guy like Matthew Stafford and not play him. And I think the MVP race is significantly up for grabs. And if Matthew Stafford doesn't play, he might not win MVP just because if a guy like Drake May has a really good game, or if somehow is it still possible for what's his name to get the 1 seed? I think it's still possible for the Jaguars to get the 1 seed. And I don't know if that's possible still.
It is.
It is possible.
Right. So I'm saying, but dude, who's been playing the second half of the season? Obviously, there's the whole season, but who's been playing the best quarterback play in the second half of the season has been T-Law. And Trevor Lawrence is balling. And obviously, Drake May's had a significantly better overall season, but Trevor Lawrence has had a much better second half of the season than anyone else. And Matthew Stafford has only fallen off in the last couple, more fallen off wise for MVP level play. I don't think anyone's MVP. I think we should skip the MVP this year.
Well, the odds went back.
He's worked so hard.
I heard something so funny. Now that we're on the topic for a second, something hilarious. Basically, the odds before Monday Night Football were in favor of Stafford over Drake May. Drake May was number 2. Listen to this, guys. Right? The Rams are down by. This shows how stupid these odds are. Okay. The Rams are down by 14. Falcons about to go up by 17. Jared Verse blocks a field goal, returns it for a touchdown, and Stafford now jumps Drake May because of a blocked field goal for a touchdown. It's like, what does it have to do with the Matthew Stafford? None, but because the Rams might win.
Chance to win the game.
Right, now they have a chance to win the game, so it helps Matthew Stafford's odds. Anyway, just a digression. But yes, you are correct.
Is Drake May now the favorite?
Drake May's now the favorite because Jared Verse's blocked field goal wasn't enough to win the game. If they blocked another field goal return for a touchdown, then apparently Matthew Stafford. But little did Jared Verse know that on special teams he would be helping his quarterback at the MVP. So, you never know what's going to happen over there in Vegas. So let's go to the next game, Lions-Bears. So, Micey, here's my question for you about Lions-Bears. You think Dan Campbell will have his team ready to go even though this is a meaningless game?
Yes, he always has them ready.
Yeah, absolutely true.
I don't think so because it's like the Bears. You can't knock out the Bears from making the playoffs, and they've already made the playoffs. They already won the division. It's just for seeding for the Bears right now. Like the Lions are just so. You saw in a game when they were actually win or go home, and obviously they needed help.
They just looked defeated.
They needed to win. They just looked defeated. They had 6 turnovers against freaking Max.
I mean that offensive line. Yeah, that offensive line is truly beat up, and I mean it stinks because the Lions are such a fun team to watch.
Yeah, the fact that we're not going to get them in the playoffs is disappointing. I'm not going to lie.
It is.
I will say this though. I think that I mean you're right though. Like I think the Bears come out crush them because at the end of the day, I think the Lions' biggest fear is like Aiden Hutchinson getting really injured, or one of their star Amon-Ra's get really hurt, or someone getting hurt is like the biggest fear for the Lions. And I think that if they have to deal with injuries, they're gonna if like someone gets really hurt in ACL or Achilles, there's gonna be a lot of pissed off people. So I think they're gonna be very almost careful and kind of only play like a 50% of the guys only gonna play so much. So I do think that the and then the rival between the Bears and the Lions is not like the Bears and the Packers. But that's let's talk that real quick. Also, like it's not it's division, but like it's like Saints Falcons. Like, is it that big of a rival? Not really.
Well, you don't have Vince Lombardi and George Halas. You don't have that whole dynamic going on. That's really where that whole thing started.
That's what I'm saying. It's just like right? Yeah, but again, even so, the Bears Packers is so big compared to Bears Lions. Bears Lions both used to stink. For many years they stunk.
Yeah.
Well, remember these two teams played way back in week 2, and the Lions put up 52 on the Bears that week. And that was, remember guys, that at that juncture
Bears answered.
But that's what I'm saying. I mean, at that point, the juncture in the season, we were probably all thinking to ourselves, makes sense, right? I mean, the Bears, remember, started 4-2 last year and didn't win a single game the rest of the season. This year, they went into Baltimore 4-2, lost to go to 4-3, and they barely lost a game. They won like the next 8 or 9, whatever it was. So like at that juncture in the season, it makes sense.
And a loss last week to the 49ers is not a bad loss. Like that was a great loss.
No, their only losses since then are the Ravens, Packers, and Niners. Those are their only losses.
Yeah, so we'll do a playoff preview, but the Bears defense is a problem.
Yeah,
true.
Very big problem.
They force a lot of turnovers. That's their saving grace this year. I think that's really what it is for the Bears this year.
So did Trevion Diggs, and look what happened to him.
Trevion Diggs got signed by Trayvon Diggs signed by the Packers. Yeah.
On the Packers.
Yeah.
I don't think it'll help, by the way. But speaking of Packers, it's relevant. It's relevant, Yehuda, because again, seeding wise, right? If the Bears win this is why I wanted to talk about this game. If the Bears win this game, they get the number 2 seed and they get to play a hobbled Packers team. Since Micah Parsons gone out of the lineup, Rashawn Gary is just not a number 1 wrecker up front, and they'll have to blitz more. They just will, even though they've been stubborn to do so. So I definitely think that the Packers is the team you want to play in that first round simply because of their injuries. Yeah. Otherwise, we talk about them a lot differently. But if the Bears lose, you open it up for the Eagles. The Eagles can get that number 1 seed, the number 2 seed if they beat the Commanders. So it's a relevant game for them, Yehuda.
I know. I hear, but seeding wise, it is important for them to play. It feels like Ravens Steelers last year. Remember, and people were talking about, if you win, then you were going to end up playing the Steelers in the playoffs. And you're like, I don't know, Lamar doesn't always play well against it. I'm like, no, they're clearly a reeling team, and they had injuries, and you want to play them, even though they're our biggest rival, and sometimes it would be the 3rd time playing them. You want to play them because they're clearly the worst team in the playoffs, and then we got it, and then we destroyed them. And that is exactly what it feels like to me for the Bears and the Packers. Historically, Packers have usually done pretty well against Chicago, and obviously they are their fierce rival, and they're 1-1 against them this year. But now it feels like Chicago has turned the tide on them, and the Packers are reeling. But it's the 3rd time playing against them. Do you really think you can beat them another time? Obviously it's not trying to beat a team 3 times in 1 year, which they say is very, very hard to do. But I agree with you. It is the matchup you want if you're the Bears. And that's what I think, if they see that they're losing by a lot against the Lions, and they start to pull their guys and whenever you don't risk injury. But they should be able to handle it because they have a little bit of what to play for, and the Lions are already eliminated going into Chicago, and it's not the rivalry, but it's not such a big deal. And like Micey said, they don't want people to get hurt. So I think not that the Bears are going to win comfortably, but they probably could win. But ultimately, Ben Johnson isn't thinking about if we're losing, we don't want to risk injury just to play against the Packers instead of the Niners or something. So obviously it's a much better matchup to play against the Packers, but I think it would be very funny though, because he did say I look forward to beating Matt LaFleur twice a year, and he's only beat him once this year, so
he's got a chance.
Maybe he does want that 2 seed so he can beat him twice a year. But yeah, I hear the arguments, but ultimately I think the seeding, it is important, but if they make the playoffs, you play whoever's in front of you. You're ready to beat anybody in the playoffs.
I
think
guess
this,
the only
playing the teams thing. After 1 second, the playing the teams thing is more for the fans than the teams. Because I agree with you. I think the teams look at it as we'll look at the tape and see. The teams have different schemes, and we'll just do it based off of that, not who's better, who's worse. So I agree with you. But more as fans, you kind of look at it and you're like, you want the matchup that looks better on paper.
Oh, for sure. Want Bears Packers also for narratives.
The only thing really significant about this upcoming Lions game is obviously the Ben Johnson against his old team.
Yeah.
And but again, the Lions are out, and that's and good for him. His team is playing for a two seed or whatever.
Yeah, agreed. So who do you got, Meisty? We got the Lions by 3. I mean, Bears by 3. Who are you picking?
I think the Bears. Bears actually cover this by 3.
What do you think?
Bears win and cover. I agree.
Bears win and cover. I'm actually going to go contrarian. I'm going to go with the Lions. Listen, I think that the Lions are. There's no more dangerous team in meaningless games than the Lions. And remember, the Amon-Ra St. Brown and Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs and Jared Goff are still going to be on the field. Presumably, we haven't heard that they're going to bench any of them. So
the cold though.
It's the cold. Okay, Jared maybe Goff right. They got a dome over there in Detroit. That's true. Maybe that kills the narrative. But I'm going to go ahead and pick over under 50.5. So they expect this to be a high scoring game over there in Las Vegas. Okay, let's go to. We got 2 more games. Let's first touch on for a few minutes. It's not the most compelling matchup in the world, but of course we have Chargers Broncos. Now this is, of course, the reason that we're bringing this up is because the Broncos control their own destiny for the number 1 seed. Now, Justin Herbert's not playing, and I think that Trey Lance is good. Trey Lance has not had a sit. By the way, it is incredible, guys, how hobbled up that Chargers offensive line, how horrible it's been, and Justin Herbert has started every single game this season. That is really incredible. Trey Lance has 13 passes the entire season, which is quite incredible, which means he's only come in relief appearances, probably in blowouts one way or the other. So anyway, Trey Lance will be starting this game, and it's huge for teams like the Patriots and Jaguars that thought, hey, when you looked at it heading into the week, you thought the Chargers, again, all the way back, what was it, week 2, right? I think they played in week 2. Week 1 or week 2, the Chargers and Broncos played each other. The Chargers and Broncos played each other way earlier in the season. I can't remember. 1 second. Let me see where it was. Because it's interesting. We have a lot of rematches from games way early in the season. And then we have like Ravens, Steelers, and Bucs, Panthers, 2 games that just happened. Interesting how they matched up. Chargers and Broncos played each other week 3. So, anyway, and back then, of course, it was a close, right? They won by 23-20. Chargers won. You're thinking that if you're the Jaguars or the Patriots, specifically playing the Dolphins this week, you're looking at it saying, hey, we got a shot at the number 1 seed. If the Chargers and playing good football, they can go out there and beat the Broncos, and we got a shot. But no Trey Lance. The result is 13.5-point favorite Broncos are at home, of course, against the Chargers. And now pretty much no one has a hope for that number 1 seed. So, obviously, Broncos, I think, will cover the 13.5, but it's kind of disappointing. You had the scenario was Jaguars win, Patriots, Broncos lose, Jaguars get the number 1 seed. Patriots win, Broncos lose, Patriots get the number 1 seed. But it doesn't look like any of that will be relevant, Yehuda. But anyway, I am going to go ahead and pick the 13.5.
Jim Harbaugh's ducking his brother. He knows the Ravens are going to win. If he would have won, and the Bills would have lost, or let's see. Okay. If they win and the Texans lose.
No, they have to win.
Even if the Bills win.
Yeah.
No, they just have to win and the Texans lose.
Correct.
Then he would be the 5. So maybe he's ducking his brother. That's the thinking.
Well, also you could potentially play the Steelers, which is who you want to play. If you're one of those.
I know. I'm joking. But he knows his brother's coming through. He knows
How many times has he beaten his brother?
Yeah. Every time, right?
Yeah.
Oh, how many times has Jim beaten John? Yes.
Exactly.
He's like 0-3 or 0-2?
He's 0-3. Yeah.
0-3, yeah. So, yeah, I don't think there's time for everything, but I don't think he's actually ducking his brother. I think he needs to rest his quarterback who has a broken hand. It makes sense. And
that's for sure.
Why try to have a dogfight against your division rival? And potentially even lose, because they're still a good team. Potentially even lose to then be in the 7 seed anyway. I think that you can move from 7 to maybe 6. The Texans probably are going to beat the Colts anyway, and the Bills are probably going to beat the Jets. I think that's really what it is. Yeah. It all comes down to the Jets. It's the Jets' fault because the Bills are going to beat the Jets. But Josh Allen may be resting, so maybe they don't beat the Jets. But yeah, I think even with Mitch Trubisky, they can beat the Jets. Yeah, they still beat the Jets. But it's funny because it creates like this butterfly effect. So now the Chargers aren't trying because they expect I just read this in an article. The Chargers aren't trying because they expect the Texans to win, and the Texans or the Bills to win. The Bills won't try because they expect the Texans to win. But Rocket, this is what I was saying. It's creating a butterfly effect. So if the Chargers aren't going to try because they expect the Bills to win, but then the Bills, Josh Allen's resting because then they expect the Texans to win. So the Texans, they see Trey Lance starting and Mitch Trubisky, so they're not going to try because then they're not going to win because the Jaguars are playing the Titans anyway. So the Jags are like, oh, the Texans aren't even trying, so we should just rest Trevor Lawrence.
That is very interesting.
But then all comes back to the Chargers going, hey, wait a minute. Now everybody's not trying.
Well, back to what we said before, Yehuda. Back to what we said before. How much do NFL teams really care about who they play? Apparently not that much.
Yeah.
Well, yes and no. I mean, you don't want to play a really hot team. Like, you don't want to play Jacksonville. Yeah. You don't want to play Jacksonville. But maybe you do. But
also, with the AFC being so wide open this year, like you're either playing the Jaguars, the Ravens, the Patriots. I mean, it's not. Is there that big of a difference between any of them? I don't know. It's kind of tough, Like there's no Chiefs.
You don't want to play. You don't want to play New England and Baltimore. I just think, like, even as hot as Jacksonville is, I think you'd want to play Jacksonville if you're like the Bills.
But because of this discussion, it's kind of like it's better rest your players than start to make a calculation who I'm going to play and who I'm not going to play.
100%. Go ahead and rest players. 100%. Now, it's funny. Good teams, even with a backup quarterback, and they find ways to win. So even if Justin Herbert sits, chance is not good, but even if you're Justin Herbert, a guy like Justin Herbert sits, or Josh Allen sits, or I don't know, CJ Stroud probably doesn't sit, but even if CJ Stroud sits or any of these guys sit, they're still looking at a situation of, hey, even with a backup quarterback, we can win this game. We're playing a bad team, or you're playing on another team that's also resting starters. You can win the game very simply by not, just because you rest your starters doesn't mean you're going to lose automatically. And that's the best case scenario. Winning a game and resting your starters, that is the best. Yeah.
Cam Ward go into Jacksonville and just completely mess everything up.
Could you?
Because what if Titans beat the Jaguars and now the Texans win the division, and so the Jaguars have the loss, and now all of a sudden in the 4:00 games, Broncos, the Chargers, like, oh, wait a minute, now we could be the 5 seed and play the Steelers, but I mean they wouldn't know yet.
I think the Jaguars would automatically get the 5 seed if they lost, right? And the Texans would.
They would.
I think so, because I think they're.
Nope.
Let's check that out real quick. What do you think, Mike? You check this out on the playoff machine?
I have not been on the playoff machine today. I have not been on the playoff machine this whole week. I've been.
By the way, I released a video this morning about playoff machine going through all the scenarios. If you're interested, but
let
me see. Let me see. Jaguars lose, and then we have Texans.
Jags would be the 5 seed. If the Broncos win, the Jags would be the 6 if they're only tied with Buffalo.
No, the Jags. No, I'm going through it in the playoff machine. Even if the Bills and Chargers win, the Jaguars are still the 5 seed. They're automatically the 5 seed.
No, they're not. If the Broncos win,
they have better strength of victory than both the Bills and the Chargers.
No, I know. I'm saying if the Chargers lose, but the Jags and the Bills win, then the Jags or Chargers are 17 anyway.
Two-way tiebreaker.
Right, no,
two-way tiebreaker.
Two-way tiebreaker. They have it. So, but now I'm noticing if the Jaguars.
Right, because in a two-way you go to common games, and a three-way you go to strength of victory. Interesting. And that one the Bills would have. That is interesting. Actually, that is relevant because the Chargers, of course, Trey Lance is under center. So, okay, there's gonna be some interesting scenarios here if the Jaguars lose. That would blow up the entire AFC picture.
Yeah, but they're not losing the Titans. They actually have to try because they need to play for the division. So
it's true.
They're
and they can technically also get the bye by some crazy scenario.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, but
I just got a tweet. A college player has misspelled his own name in his draft declaration post. And somebody tweeted, college athletes got to start going back to class.
Speaking of names, I just have to mention a row. I mean,
I know that too. Yeah, like what does he do? Does Scooby Doo?
Talking about names.
Yeah.
Row. Call him row your boat. My nickname for him, but anyway. Okonkwo is also pretty good. Okonkwo. That's a good one.
Getting tricky with it.
Yeah, it's like when Giannis first came to the league and all these announcers were like trying to say Anthony Patio, and that shit they just realized. So like, we could just call him either like Giannis or the Greek Freak. We don't have to like Anthony Kupis.
The alphabet. All right, guys, we have one more game to go through. The most important game of the weekend.
Oh, I was picking the Broncos.
Did you pick it? You didn't pick
them
it.
to cover though. All they do is win by three or 7 points. So 12.5 is way too much, or 13.5 even. I know it's still Trey Lance, but I'm still gonna go Broncos. The Chargers cover though.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you, Huda, on that one. That the Broncos, that the Chargers 12.5 is big, and the Broncos. What are the Broncos really playing for here? They're playing. I mean, they're
playing for the 1 seed. They need to win. They're playing.
They gotta win because one of the other teams will win if they lose.
But like I see them up by like 2 scores. If their defense is playing well and they're up 2 scores, they're not going to go out there and like drop a 50 burger. You know what I mean?
No, but they're playing. They're playing at the same time as the Patriots, so they need to win.
Yeah, but I think this is why I'm taking the same thing as you. That's why I'm calling the Chargers to cover because I think that their defense is good. Like they're going to just like, we're shutting them out. So why do we need to? What are we worried about? So let's just go ahead and.
Well, that's why I'm going to pick the cover. I'm going to pick the Broncos cover, even though they win a ton of games by 3. I just think, like Trey Lance with that offensive line, like the only reason that the Chargers have been able to survive with that offensive line is because Justin Herbert's under center. But Trey Lance with that offensive line against the Broncos pass rush, like I don't know if they'll score any points. So, so that's why I'm going to go Broncos by.
Watch them go first drive. Trey Lance leads like a good, efficient 8-play, 75-yard drive touchdown.
Gets the ball out in the second and a half.
Then he doesn't score another point the rest of the game.
That doesn't matter though. That ruins my entire 13.5 cover. So it can all go in the first drive. Your point is still correct. Okay, so let's go to the game that of course we didn't expect to happen, and it's the Sunday night game. As we all think, it was the proper decision, of course. Yeah, and when we all going back and forth on Sunday after the Browns lost, like what's the schedule going to be like? Is it going to be Sunday night? Is it going to be Saturday night? We were all, of course, it was a big discourse there, and we all essentially agreed, like, you got to put Ravens Steelers Sunday night. Even if Seahawks and Niners is for the number 1 seed, they'll put that Saturday night. Even if Bucs and Panthers is win or go home, they'll put that Saturday. This is the game because Ravens Steelers has been like this iconic rivalry going back to Ray Lewis and Troy Polamalu and Ed Reed and Big Ben. And of course, how many games came down to the division? As you might mention, Meisty, no game has been win or go home quite. But you remember it was 2016, I believe, where there was the second to last week of the season, the Antonio Brown stretching over the goal line, where that was win or go home for the Ravens. Not quite for the Steelers, but the Ravens needed to win the last 2 games, and one of those was the Steelers. So it was close to win or go home. And there's been so many meaningful games, both in the regular season and the playoffs, between these 2 teams, that it's like it only makes sense to put the Sunday night. Even if Lamar did practice yesterday and today, so it looks like he'll play. But even if he doesn't play, even without DK Metcalf, even with the Steelers' offense looking sluggish, you still got to put the Sunday night, right? It's like it's a no-brainer. It's the only win or go home, pure win or go home game in the NFL. And if Lamar Jackson's must-see TV, like. This had to be the ending to the season. We looked at it when the Ravens lost to the Steelers in week 14, whatever it was, week 13, week 14, and we're like, okay, but come on, just get to that last game. Get to that last game, win or go home, and let's see what happens, Yehuda. So how are we feeling about this matchup?
Oh my gosh. I'm so excited. This is what we live for as sports fans, as Ravens fans. All year, the Ravens have not been a team that has lived up to the potential all year. Has like the evidence in this year, none of that has shown that they are a team that will win this game and that you expect to win this game. But that Lions fan in Detroit may have saved the Ravens season, getting DK suspended for 2 weeks. Now the Steelers' offense is struggling. TJ Watt is injured on a freak injury with the needling, and
Crazy
Might be
he's
back.
situation.
limited. He's limited, but still along. Like it's a crazy
Well,
situation.
Tomlin said
Like,
he needs him to practice fully before he plays. So who knows?
Listen,
yeah, he did say that.
if
But
there's one thing that Delaney could do for us all year, and I don't, wish injured around, but maybe a punch to the lung or something. I don't know.
that's crazy, man. That's crazy. But yeah, Tomlin said he needs him to practice full.
Exactly.
But like this is win or go home, and potentially for Tomlin's job. So like you might want TJ Watt out there. You might say these things, but yeah, I don't know who's gonna win. But like all of the storylines and everything, I was just like, just give us a chance. Give the Ravens a chance, Shadosi. And it happened, and the Browns came through, and now we have, for terrible as the Ravens season has been, like relative to expectations, they still have a chance to make the playoffs, win the North, host a playoff game, and it comes down to the Steelers in the last game of the season. And this is like a whole new chapter added to the rivalry, added to the legacy of these coaches. Like it's just like nothing more you could ask for on Sunday night with Collinsworth. Oh, this play for guys. Oh my God. Like it's incredible. I could see.
Can we have a
either team
live
winning
watch
this.
along?
Obviously,
Can we have a live watch along for this?
Potentially. I may be hosting people, so we'll see. But maybe
Let them join.
maybe second half.
Let them join.
Yeah, let them get in. But yeah, both teams, like, realistically are the definition of mid. They are 13th and 14th in DVOA, like pretty much average, and then they are 13th and 14th in weighted DVOA, meaning like how they've been playing all season. Baltimore moved up obviously with that performance. Pittsburgh moved down with their performance against the Browns. The Ravens offense 12th all year. Steelers 16th, mid. The Ravens defense 15th. Steelers defense 11th. And then their special teams are 11th, 16th. So they're like basically very, very evenly matched teams. Very average to slightly above average teams. So like I think this game could go either way. And it's in Pittsburgh.
What does the eye test tell
Lamar
you?
doesn't have the eye test obviously tells me the Ravens for sure, but silly things happen in this game of football, like weird penalties, touchdowns being called back even though they were clearly touchdowns.
Slash turnovers.
Footballs bouncing a certain way. So like anything is possible in this rivalry and in this game. I do think the Ravens are the better team in this moment. And they're separated by 1 percentage point. In total DVOA, Pittsburgh is 7.6, and Baltimore is 7.5. So I think this is going to be an extremely close game, and it's going to be epic.
Ooh.
And I just want to see for the legacy, for the stories, Lamar down 3, leading a touchdown drive right after they do renegade, and the Steelers and the whole stadium is screaming
Terrible
and popping,
towels.
and then terrible towels swinging, and Lamar leading a game-winning touchdown drive. Like
Here we go,
that would feed families. It'd be incredible.
Yeah, no, I'm with Yehuda a lot on this. The eye test, like I asked Yehuda, the eye test just kind of, you look at the Ravens. But again, if you at the end of the week, if the Steelers win, I'm not sitting there being like, well, that stinks. Like, no, I mean it stinks because as a fan, but as a guy who's watched football throughout the season, you're kind of being like, hey, saw that coming. Either team can win this game. It is a close game. It's an Aaron Rodgers. Does Aaron? And like you said, it's Collinsworth and Rodgers trying to drive the field with 2 minutes to go. Does he have it? Just yelling at it. Letting us. Lamar does something incredible, and he just. Something crazy is going to happen. Lamar just tweeted out he's going to be playing, or I don't know, tweeted. I saw him tweet that Lamar just said he is not going to play. So it's going to be interesting. Like I said earlier in the show, in the beginning, at the end of the day, Derrick Henry, I don't care if he fumbles the ball early. You have to feed the beast and let him it's going to be cold. Let him run. Let him do his thing. And with Lamar, you open the field to so much more. But don't just because you have Rashid Ali and Keaton Mitchell does not mean you stop giving the ball to Derrick Henry. I get it, a play here, a play there, a third down. I get it. But first, second down almost every time should be up. Derrick Henry, first down positive, go again. The clock should be ticking as much as you can. Don't, try to keep your defense off the field as much as possible. Slow. Yeah, this game, I don't know what the over-under is. Move it to 29 points and give me the under. You know what I mean? Like it's not. The only reason why it goes over is if like Derrick Henry did what he did last week and scores 4 touchdowns. Then you're like, okay, well now you're at 28 itself. So. But I really, and again, I don't know who Rodgers is going to throw the ball to. It's going to come down to the Ravens defense. You make that stop, you make the big play. So that's kind of what I'm hoping on that. I'd love to. I'm excited. I just want something to happen. I just want to hear the song. I just want to hear it. I'm ready. I told my fiance. She like every time the song comes on, I turn it up. She's like, "Why are you turning it so loud?" I was like, "This is what we want. This is what we live for. It's this moment that we wait all week for." She literally says, "All week we've been waiting for this moment."
Here we go,
and
Jim.
This is what we live for. Yep. Here we go, Jim. Well, it's not Jim, but yes.
Yeah, but they set it up. Roman and set it up.
We set it all. We wait all week for Tony Romo and Jim and then we've got Collinsworth at night and I mean this is what we live for.
There's still nothing better than last year when the Bills were about to beat the Broncos in the first round and they didn't release the schedule yet. Did you guys see this? And Romo was like circling Bills Ravens and they're like, this is the game I've been waiting for since the beginning of the season, Jim. And Jim's like, oh, you know the schedule already, Tony, don't you? And it's like, yep, they're sending us out there, Jim. He's like, he doesn't even care. He's so excited. He forgot to let them release the schedule. He released the schedule himself. Yeah. That was the funniest thing ever. So, but and in this situation, I think Romo was very disappointed after the Browns game last week that like he wouldn't be the one doing this Ravens Steelers, right? That's kind of annoying.
This game is crazy. I don't know.
We'll have to get to catch the second half of that one, but the McAfee,
live college,
the McAfee. Anyway, so guys, on the field, from a Steelers perspective, I mean, like, where are they throwing the ball this week? Okay, so DK Metcalf, like you said, Yehuda, did he cost them the season? Perhaps. I think if the Steelers missed the playoffs, we'll look back at the season and say, you needed one of those 2 wins, and you didn't have a passing game because you lost your only good wide receiver. And DK Metcalf this year is the only receiver on the Steelers that has more than 500 receiving yards, which is insane. And the second best receiver on the team has probably been Darnell Washington this season, who has the highest success rate on the team. And the guy's a bulldozer, yards after contact, great hands, good route runner. He's not playing. He's out for the season with the broken arm. So no Darnell Washington, no DK Metcalf. I do think Freiermuth is he's out for the season. They say even if you make it in the playoffs. But I actually do think, listen, Calvin Austin might play. He's been limited in practice. So he'll have to be your number one threat outside. I think he's more. I think he can win some matchups more than MVS. Like last week, you saw what the Steelers did. It just didn't work. Like how many one-on-one shots they take to MVS and Scotty Miller on the outside. I think Rodgers had the right idea against the Browns. I do. Like he's like, listen, we just need to hit 1 or 2 of these and we'll win the game. That's all we need. Like eventually, my guys will win, and they didn't because Denzel Ward and Tyson Campbell are really good in man coverage. Now the Ravens don't have that talent on the outside. Like Nate Wiggins and Awuzie are playing fine this year, but it's not the same. They can't. The Browns play more man coverage than any team in the league, and they do it successfully. The Ravens are better in man coverage, but still like to play a lot of zone. So it's going to be interesting to see exactly how they adjust with that. So listen, how do the Ravens? How do they attack it? Do you say we're comfortable playing zone, we're going to stick with zone, or do you say who's going to beat us one-on-one? Calvin Austin, MVS? Like, let's just play man. Our guys can beat your guys. I think it's going to be an interesting chess match. Ultimately, guys, I think we're underrating one thing about this game. The Ravens have a better roster than the Steelers right now. The Ravens have potential explosives on offense. And the Ravens have more talent on defense, although it hasn't come together this year at all times. But I do think Aaron Rodgers is playing very clean football these last 4 weeks. And he hasn't put the ball in harm's way, and he's made some nice tight window throws on third down. Remember against the Lions, 3rd and 10, 3rd and 9, extending plays. He's actually been making some nice throws these last 4 weeks. Ever since that Ravens game, kind of turned a corner this year. So even with the limited receiving talent, I still think Rodgers will make some throws in this game and make it very interesting. I don't think it's going to be a blowout. I think it's going to be a very close game. I think it's going to come down to the wire and the headlines and the Harbaugh and the Tomlin and this everything. I think it's just going to be so fun. You're going to hear Collinsworth and Tirico at the end. The hype is going to be real. Terrible towels waving. It's going to be a very fun game, guys. And the other side of this, aside from the on-field stuff, is Harbaugh and Tomlin's job really on the line here? Like, is that a real thing? Because I heard someone say, I heard someone say that this is a lose-lose, right? Because the Steelers lose, like, how did you blow this division lead? The Ravens lose, it's like you sucked this entire year. Like, you couldn't even win the division and it was up for grabs. So I heard a lot of people saying, like, both coaches lose out, no matter who loses this game.
Yeah, I think, and they should. Like, the Tomlin, it's time. You know, I, as a Ravens fan, I love that they're accepting mediocrity, but this is a Steelers organization that is tied for the most Super Bowls or is number 2 in Super Bowls, and they have a pedigree, you know, only 3 coaches in the last 50 years, like, yada, yada, we know. Standard is the standard, but they've accepted mediocrity. And, like, I would love this as a Ravens fan. I love to accept mediocrity and 9-8 Super Bowl every year and maybe make a playoff game, maybe not even make the playoffs, you know, but if you do make the playoffs, you're losing round 1. Like that, sometimes you need a new voice in the locker room. And then the exact same situation with the Ravens. Like Harbaugh, it's, I believe, a little bit worse because, like, the Steelers haven't had, like, the best rosters. Like, Tomlin's done a good job as a coach dragging a below average roster to 9-8 every year. But, like, yeah, then maybe you can start looking at the GM and Omar Khan and his faults for not giving Tomlin and the Steelers not really having a QB plan and Kenny Pickett failing and all that as an organization. But the Ravens have one of the greatest dual threat quarterbacks, if not the greatest dual threat quarterback of all time, the past 6 years. He's literally saved Harbaugh's job. Harbaugh's going to get fired 2018 if he doesn't, if Lamar doesn't end up saving his season. He wasted the Ravens' best season, 2023, as a leader. They failed against the Chiefs. They didn't even get a chance to lose to the Chiefs again last year, which we both know we would have lost the Chiefs again in the AFC Championship. It's their boogeyman. And now the one year the Chiefs aren't in it, you might not even make the playoffs. If the Ravens lose, they need to fire John Harbaugh, and they need a new voice. They need to start over with this very solid roster. I think it was always overrated in how well it was and how good it was, and that Lamar actually elevated them a lot more than we expected. But you can't be blowing these leads. You can't be consistently showing that you will take the lead and then cannot hold it. Like, it happens way too often with Harbaugh. And I know you say, oh, it's because they're constantly winning and they're always winning in these games. Yes, that's true. But then you need to finish the game, and they finished a lot of games. They won a lot of games, but they could not get over the hump. And so sometimes you need a new voice. And if the Ravens don't even make the playoffs in a year that Mahomes and the boogeyman is not even in the playoffs, where the AFC is wide open, where you have a chance, then he needs to be gone. I don't know what you do if they win the division and then get waxed in the first round. Like, I think that is a possibility. But I just got to at least have a chance. Got to win this game. And then at least you can delude yourself into thinking maybe we can go on a run. There's no strong team in the AFC. And, like, if they lose the Super Bowl, I think you can keep Harbaugh around. Obviously, if they win the Super Bowl, he stays for another 5 years, and I'd sign up for that any day. Win the Super Bowl, let him stay, give him a legacy contract, whatever. You won a Super Bowl, Lamar won a Super Bowl. But I think you got to win at least 2 or 3 games in the playoffs to keep his job. And it can't be, the loss can't be like, one of the classic Ravens up 11 with 9 minutes left, and then they blow it again like they constantly do with their double-digit blown leads. But again, first, focus, beat the Steelers, make the playoffs, because if they miss the playoffs, you think about how much of a failure this season was and how they lost to every good contending team they played, and they couldn't beat a single team, maybe one team. I think the Bears and now the Packers over 500. Like that's not Ravens football. All they do is win in the regular season, and then if they're not even doing that anymore, then Harbaugh's got to go. But that being said, I'm gonna pick the Ravens to win. They're gonna win 23-17. And it's gonna be 23-17 or 23-20. And something really close. Baltimore by 3.5. I think I'm actually gonna go. I'm gonna go Ravens win and cover because they'll win by 6 or 4. But I could easily see them winning by a field goal. But yeah, gotta take the Ravens here. I gotta hope that they can beat Aaron Rodgers with Scotty Miller and Calvin Austin as the number 1 receivers. If not, Harb's got to go, and that's what it is. It's like I think jobs should be on the line here, and that's why it adds to an even bigger game.
Do you think
this is the
ends?
last time they ever coach against each other.
Do you think it ends with Harbaugh though, or are you climbing up more higher up on the ladder and being like, well, and I'm not blaming ADC for this year. I think he does a good job as the GM, but do you look all the way up the ladder and be like, hey, what else is there?
I would say Zach Orr. Yeah, I would say Zach Orr.
Well, yeah, I think
it's an incredible story, but
I think if Harbs goes, I don't think they keep any of the coordinators.
Yeah, Monken might go to college, I heard.
Yeah, Monken's going to college.
I could see him keeping him. Like a year ago, they literally had the third best yards per play ever in an NFL history for an offense.
But there's a difference between 2019 and 2024 for the Ravens offense. I think 2019 there's a lot of credit goes to the coordinator scheming guys open down the field. I think last year was Lamar just played out of his mind, straight up. I think less so in 2019. Less so just this guy that's able to improvise better than anyone we've ever seen. This guy is able to extend plays. This guy's able to scramble efficiently, read option, throw guys open. That wasn't the case in 2019. It was more like it doesn't matter who you put out there, everyone's open. So I don't know if that's Monken.
I don't know. I think he had a good system last year. I think it was pretty good. Obviously, Lamar was playing out of his mind.
I think the Ravens can't wait for the offseason. I don't know what happens with Harbs. I think that regardless of what happens with Harbs, I think that a healthy Lamar is the best player in the league, hands down. And that is a clear factor that, he had, what was this is the first time he's practiced on a Wednesday. And
I know.
In
like 2 months.
Yeah, I noticed that.
Yeah, since October. Is that a Lamar Jackson issue? I don't know. Is it a Brayton's issue? I don't know. Is it the fact that he's been hurt? I don't know. All I can say is in past years when he has practice every day or most days, he is the best player on the field that coming week. I think it's important to have him healthy. I look forward to hopefully he's back next year because I don't think there's an alternative about it. He's going to go, if you let Lamar Jackson walk, he's going to go win a Super Bowl somewhere. He will go to Seattle and win a Super Bowl. He will go to another team and win a Super Bowl. I don't care what team. He'd go to the Vikings. They will win a Super Bowl there. And that would be horrifying if Lamar leaves the Ravens and that team now wins the Super Bowl. I think you have to bring Lamar Jackson in. I think you bring back, and regardless of what happens today, this week, you bring him back. And John Harbaugh can come. Look, Harbs is, I'm not a fan. I've been calling for a job for, 3 years now. Right? Even when, every year, and, everyone's like, oh, he's good, he's fine. And now I got a lot of people obviously agreeing with me, and most people agree with me. Look, I don't even care if you bring Harbs back next year. I think a healthy Lamar is the best player. I think you have to, you get rid of the guys that stink on the offensive line. You get rid of the Faleles. You get rid of, certain guys on the team. Bring in pass rushing. You need a wrecker. You need a guy like a Max Crosby, and you need a guy, and you figure it out. But Lamar Jackson is the best player. I don't know what happens with Derrick Henry next year. I assume he returns one more year. I think that you end up bringing back both him and Lamar next year. You somehow get like a Max Crosby-esque type player, and you go boom.
I need pass rush.
It's not our year. There's no way it's our year. Now, again, prove me wrong, Ravens. Please.
Anyone's year. There's no Mahomes. Just need to have a chance.
It is wide open, but the Ravens aren't playing good football this year.
Exactly my point, though. I'm saying it's not the Ravens' year. But you know what I'm begging the Ravens to do? Prove me wrong. Please.
By the way, a lot of the things we're saying about the Ravens, Steelers fans are saying the same thing. I've heard a lot of Steelers fans say that they want.
But they have a quarterback issue.
No. I agree, but with Tomlin is what I'm saying. Like I've heard a lot of Steelers fans say that they want to lose this game because they already know what's going to happen. If they win the game, they'll get slaughtered in the first round, and they'll keep Tomlin because they made the playoffs with a 9 or 10 win team. If they lose the game, then maybe Art Rooney will start to think about moving on. And in fact, Mike Tomlin has a 2027 clause that they have to pick up the option before the year next year. So it puts the Steelers in an interesting position because on the one hand,
they have to pick up 2 years at a time.
They have to pick up it for 2 years. They have to pick up 27 2 years in advance, right? Meaning he still has 20. He's still under contract for 2026, but they have to decide if they're going to pick up his 2027 option prior to 2026, which puts Art Rooney in a very interesting position because on the one hand, as if the Steelers lose this game, they miss the playoffs. Let's say you don't pick up the 2027 option. Does Tomlin really want to stay on a team just for 1 year? That doesn't seem likely to me. Yeah. I don't see Tomlin staying knowing that his stay is going to be up in 17 games, right? So
well,
that could be the end.
Know that. I think it's a Tomlin retire situation. Like it's the same with Harbs. I don't think you're ever going to be like, oh, the Ravens and Harbs or the Steelers and Tomlin are separating. No, they're going to announce a retirement.
Front office role.
Yeah, and he's moving up to the front office. But or Tomlin takes a year off. Like I could see Tomlin take a year off and then coach again. There's going to be a team.
Tomlin's already in the front office in Pittsburgh. He's been for a while. He has a lot of say in what goes down there. But John Harbaugh doesn't.
So he'll stay there, just like Bill Belichick should have done in New England.
Well, Bill Belichick was open about it, but Tomlin, it's a little more under the radar. But the people in Pittsburgh apparently say that Tomlin scouts players and he has a big say in who they sign and contracts, and so he's already
that Bill Belichick used to go to Middle Eastern Tennessee to find a player.
Yeah,
exactly.
Right.
So
okay,
3.5. Moisty, 3.5 Ravens. They're going to cover?
Oh, Yehuda's about to say something.
What do you say?
Oh, yeah. So I said I wanted to go on my delusional digression real quick.
Yeah, let's go.
Ravens, 2012, right? Ravens backed into the playoffs. They fired their offensive coordinator. Offense was struggling going in, and then they caught fire. Rock, you need to hear my delusional digression.
He's listening. He's listening.
Yeah, they're the 4 seed. Okay, they're the 4 seed. The first round they play an AFC South opponent, right? They played the Colts 2012. This year they're going to play the Texans. Then they go to Denver as the 1 seed, and they shock them in a crazy game. The miracle of Mile High miracle. They shocked them, and then they go to New England in the AFC Championship, and they beat a really good quarterback in New England, who's playing really well.
New England got Tom Brady back?
Nice. Yeah. Okay. And then they go to the Super Bowl, against the 49ers with a quarterback who's playing really well, who's hot. And it would be perfect if it was in New Orleans this year. I think the Super Bowl was in New Orleans.
No, it's in San Fran this year.
And it's in San Fran, so you play the Niners in San Francisco, and then you beat the Niners again in the Super Bowl. So that's the plan.
I bought into this delusion. I bought this delusion actually weeks ago when the Colts started falling apart, and I said, "Hey, someone else is going to win that division. Colts come to Baltimore." I had the Colts, Broncos, Patriots, and then back to the Super Bowl. The exact road to the Super Bowl. I had that in my obviously the Colts are not in, but I will take the Texans. I don't care what my road to the Super Bowl is. I don't care if it's the easiest road to the Super Bowl, the hardest road to the Super Bowl. I want to be in the Super Bowl. Yes. But Rocky asked a question.
I heard all of that.
-3.5.
I heard all of that, by the way. But you should know.
It would be cool.
When I leave, I have my headphones on. I hear everything.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, same.
Listen, the Ravens always play well against the Texans in the playoffs. I think they're 2-0 against the Texans in the playoffs. Lamar Jackson is very good against Houston. Obviously, Houston obliterated the Ravens this year, but that was freaking Cooper Rush. So that was the worst signing I think the EDC has ever made, signing Cooper Rush to be our backup. And, he clearly didn't belong there. So I think this year will be a lot different if the Ravens make it to the playoffs and get a chance to play the Texans again. And then you go to Denver. Denver ain't got Peyton Manning playing back there. That's Bo Nix, and their defense is very good, but it's been not as good of late. And then you got potentially a young, unproven Jags team or an unproven New England team. But what would be peak is if somehow the Bills as like a 6 or 7 seed make the AFC Championship and the Ravens get to host the Bills in the AFC Championship. Oh my God, that would go crazy. That would be crazy.
Well,
so
to respond to your delusion, I think a lot of people think that the Ravens are better when they back into the playoffs as opposed to when they soar into the playoffs. Like, because as one of my friends keeps on pointing out to me, every time this happens to the Ravens, 2011, Ravens got the bye. Week 2, they barely beat what was his name? Yacht? The backup quarterback? TJ Yates. TJ Yates, and I was at that game actually. Ed Reed had the game-ending interception, or so we thought. TJ Yates barely beat him, and then what happened in the AFC Championship game? By far the lowest moment in Ravens history. It's not even close, right? I think we all agree on that. I should have been on a solo shot. I was almost on a solo shot. Anyway, so by far the worst moment in Ravens history, Lee Evans, Billy Cundiff. We all know what happened there. Next year, they lose 3 of the last 4 games, 4 of the last 5 games heading into the playoffs. Nobody's seeing it coming, and boom, Joe Flacco turns into Joe Montana for 4 games. So that's, that's what we're thinking here. 2 years ago, Ravens had the best team. That was probably the best Ravens team ever. So, my father still thinks 06 McNair, that was the best Ravens team ever. That defense was utterly dominant. But I also think the defense 2 years ago was utterly dominant. And they had a ton of talent on offense, defensive side, both sides of the ball. And they didn't have a quarterback like Lamar, of course. Last year, Lamar was playing at a really high level. You thought they had that potential again. This year, they're not playing good football. They back into the playoffs. Your delusion, Yehuda, would fit with that narrative of backing into the playoffs and somehow sneaking out with a Super Bowl victory.
Hosting Buffalo would be super cool to host the AFC Championship game here in Baltimore against Buffalo. I mean, we get our week 2.
All right, let's not get ahead of ourselves. Listen, if the Ravens win this week, then we'll talk about all the potential stuff that can happen in the playoffs. But they gotta take care of business in not Heinz Field anymore.
Right now,
by the way,
Rocky, 4 weeks from now, right after Meisty's wedding, as we're live podcasting from Meisty's wedding,
South Florida,
and we're talking about is this the most legacy-defining game of all time, Josh Allen versus Lamar Jackson in the AFC Championship game in Baltimore. Okay? I can see it now. Manifest.
Well, listen,
as long as there's delusion, there is hope.
Well, listen, that's what we said last week. That's what we said last week before the Browns game. As long as there's delusion, there's hope. Maybe the Browns will beat the Steelers. Now. Also, okay, wait. Before we go to the picks, we forgot one thing. Again, the Steelers also are kind of that team that analysis goes out the window, right? Because if you look at trends, very important for the Steelers. Never lose a home game on Monday night, right? That's one of them. We all know the Steelers never lose home games on Monday night. The other one is win games they're supposed to lose games they're supposed to win. Okay? And this year, I mean, that played itself out perfectly, right? Like, you go out and lose to Joe Flacco and the Bengals, the old man Flacco coming off the couch. The next week, you beat the 8-1 Colts, who look like the most unstoppable offense in football. Then you go out and get shellacked to the Packers and Chargers. Fine, kind of should have happened. Bills, that makes sense. Then you beat the Lions. 5.5-point underdogs. Nobody expect Lions season on the line. Boom, you somehow beat them with just a wild ending. Beat the Ravens when they were underdogs. And then they come out against the 3-win Browns and lose to the Browns. This is a game, underdogs at home. The Steelers never lose, unfortunately, when they're underdogs at home. I'm just saying. So something's gonna have to trend here. On the other hand, the Steelers never sweep the Ravens. So something's gonna have to give here. One Tomlin trend is gonna have to be bucked.
That's fine with me.
You know which one it's going to be already, Meisty.
I'm hoping.
3.5. What you got?
I got 3.5. I have the Ravens covering. I'm really hopeful the Ravens just take care of business early, and we get out of there with a win, and we that's it. Or just don't make me sit there with a minute to go, being like, oh my God, what's going to happen?
No, that's what's going to happen. You know that.
Oh, I know. You don't have to ask me twice. I know it's going to happen. I'm just begging for it not to happen.
All I'm saying is I want it to come down to Lamar Jackson and the offense, because as shoddy at times as they have looked, still trust the offense more than Zach Orr-led defense at home against Aaron Rodgers. So
sure.
I want to have Lamar lead a legacy drive touchdown in the screaming Pittsburgh fans versus, it's nice and quiet. and the stadium explodes as Calvin Austin beats Marlon Humphrey, even
yeah.
though anybody could have seen it coming. But
Oh,
yeah,
man.
but
Don't
that's not
manifest
happening.
that.
It's not happening. I'm manifesting.
Because that can happen.
Manifesting the touchdown.
Yeah.
Yes.
I can see that, unfortunately.
Ravens touchdown.
Calvin Austin did beat the Ravens for a big 30-yard play in the first game they played, so you better hope that doesn't happen. How it doesn't happen again. 3.5. So, guys,
but they should. Yeah, they should.
I personally, I'm picking the Steelers to cover. I think it'll be a 3-point game one way or another. That's my prediction. Now, maybe we'll do a live watch along for a few minutes. I don't know. That'll be quite cool. So I guess we'll see what happens. If you have some little busy, maybe first half, we'll see. Either way, we definitely have to have some. Maybe an instant reaction if the Ravens win. If not, then we'll probably have to wait a few days until you guys are ready to do another podcast.
Actually, I disagree. I disagree with you, Rocky. If they lose, we should definitely be hopping on a podcast.
I'm down.
Immediately after the game to discuss it, and if they win, that's when you're like, well, we're all happy and jolly. No, I don't want to see you guys happy and jolly. I want to see you guys miserable and pissed off and angry and ready to shoot some things.
You know, I said the funny thing about podcasting is, and maybe the difficult thing, is that whether your team wins or loses, you got to go out there and talk about the games. If you want to be a consistent podcaster, if you want people to watch you every week, number one, you can be a little biased, but you can't let it alter your analysis, number one. But number two, doesn't matter if your team wins or loses. No, but if you want to be a football podcast, you want to talk about all the NFL teams, not just your team, then it doesn't matter what happens to your team. You got to analyze them objectively, and you got to analyze every other team regardless of how debilitating of a loss they just suffered. So that's what we're going to try to do. It doesn't matter if the Ravens lose next week. We should be back here next week with a playoff preview, and hopefully with the Ravens in it. If not, then I'll be excited for the playoffs as well, because I think it's a wide open slate. It's who knows what's going to happen this year. I think it's going to be so intriguing, guys. So I'm excited about it. And week 18, we'll see what happens Sunday night. Maybe we'll go live, maybe not. I guess you got to subscribe to know, because you won't know otherwise, right? So you got to subscribe. Or else you'll have
subscribe.
That's the only decision, because I don't know what's going to happen. Neither do you. Neither do any of us. So got to subscribe. Anyway, guys, enjoy. Take care. Enjoy week 18, the last weekend of regular season football in the NFL.